So this recipe is one of, I love this recipe. It's lamb chops, but we're going to give it a little Indian twist. Okay, so it's a bit of a dry curry, and we need to start by cooking our onions. Onions are fundamental in Indian cuisine, a little bit like in Italian cuisine. We have, oh that's hot, sofrito, that's very hot. That's incredible. So that was pretty hot. Well, a little tip from me. When you start cooking, make sure your pan's not too hot. I completely forgot that I'd left that on for about 15 minutes and it was smoking hot. Okay, to start, nice warm pan. We'll add some of our oil. Okay, we'll let that heat up, but not to the point we did before. Now, first thing we're going to do, we've got our onions. Onions are kind of fundamental to like Indian cuisine. Okay, into our hot oil, I've got two types of mustard seeds, black and yellow. And we just want to fry those until they start to pop. And when I mean pop, they'll start bouncing around, sort of literally popping and jumping around the pan, and they'll start to become aromatic, at which stage we'll add our onions. Now I've cut my onions a certain way. The onion as a round, you don't cut it across the rings because there's a fibre that runs through the onion ring. You want to cut the onion in half and cut it lengthways with those fibres. It just allows the onion to melt and become super tender and not stringy. And we're just going to add our onions. And at this point, some salt. Always important, salt your onions when you cook them. Helps draw the moisture out of the onion. And again, we're building those foundations of flavours, seasoning from the bottom up. So at every stage that we add something, another layer of flavour, we season, we make sure that we've got a strong foundation. Okay, so we now want to introduce a little bit of colour. We're going to cook those nice and slowly. And once they've softened, I'm going to start adding some of my more aromatic spices. Some coriander powder, some cumin seeds, some turmeric, and just before they go in, some ground ginger. So the onions are starting to colour up. They're sort of a little golden at the edges. They're very nice and soft now. I'm going to add my ginger paste, my cumin, coriander, and turmeric. Wow. And straight away you can smell the heat sort of generating all those aromas from the ginger and cumin, and the turmeric starting to bleach, run through that onion. Excellent. So it's a nice dry mix. At this stage, I've got some cut potatoes, and we're just going to put the potatoes into the onion mixture. A little bit more oil. And we're now just going to gently cook these potatoes in the onion, moving them from time to time so they don't burn. So if you like, move the onions on top of the potatoes so the potatoes sit underneath, and the warmth of the onions on top of the potatoes will help cook them at the same time as they cook from underneath. And as well, those potatoes are just going to suck up all the wonderful flavour of the cumin, the coriander ground, the mustard seeds, the ginger. This is a very patient dish. What I'm going to do is now turn my attention to my lamb chops. So these are loin chops. So you can see you've got on one side fillet, on one side loin, a nice big strip of fat. Okay, you could use neck chops, the lollipop chops like the rack chops. But I like the loin chops because you get a nice coating of fat, bone. It's always good to cook lamb on the bone, I think. And what I'm going to do with my potatoes is I'm just going to move them all to the side. Okay, push them over, and I'm going to take them off the heat. So I'm going to move the pan so the 1/3 of my pan is on the heat. And now we're just going to add our lamb chops on that hotter part of the pan. And we're just going to sear those, turn them, keep turning them. All that fat will render through, and then we'll push them into the potatoes, bring it all together, and then we'll add our final seasoning. The great thing is what's happening here is the lamb chops, because they're big and cold, are absorbing most of the heat of the pan. So it sort of stops this potato and onion on the edge from burning. So they're really taking on most of the heat of the pan at the moment. So these will probably take a good 20 minutes to cook. So I've just cleaned up the pan a little bit. There was a little bit of burnt onion that I just pushed to the side, and I'm just trying to render down that last little bit of fat on the chop. These are probably cooked about medium well at the moment. I think I'm almost at that stage now. I'm going to turn the heat down, and I'm going to bring everything back together. So the potatoes, we'll turn that right down. Potatoes, lamb, all in. Now, for the good stuff, we've got some tamarind pulp here. You can buy it two ways, as a concentrate in a jar, or you can buy it in a little block form with the seeds still in it. And it's basically the tamarind fruit. It's a sour fruit. So we're going to use this to slightly acidulate our lamb chops. We're just going to pour that all over our lamb chops, like so. And quite literally turn them over in that sauce, like so. Yeah. A little bit of seasoning, a bit of salt, last little bit of pepper, and we're pretty much ready to plate up. So here we have my lovely lamb chops. Tamarind lamb chops. It's a mouthful. So just I know they're not as hot as you'd like, sir, but I'm sorry. And then a little bit of mint on top, like so. And we have, madam,
thank you.
Sir, drum roll, let me know.
Beautiful.
Is it good?
Yeah, delicious.
Very nice.
Excellent. I breathe a sigh of relief.
Nice and tender.
Yep.
Very juicy.
Is it sharp enough? Is it? Yep. Excellent. And the potatoes, they're my favourite bit actually. Thank you. Thank you for being so patient as well. You were here from the beginning and it took a while. Sorry. My beautiful, approved by Sri Lankans, tamarind lamb chops. So I'm pretty happy with that.